Folks, welcome inside the Mesa Performing Arts Center. This is the Jake Feinberg Show on the road here, and joined by Fort Wayne, Indiana's finest drummer, Colin Boyd. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you very much.
Just let me ask you a question. Why, at this point, did you come to Billy Cobham's retreat? What is, clearly you've demonstrated their facility, feel, you're playing with brushes, you're playing with mallets. So why did you, aside from admiring Billy, why did you want to come to the retreat?
For myself personally, you're never too old to learn anything new. I've always thought of myself as being a student, and I'll never stop being a student. I've always felt that there's something to be learned from everybody, and there's no way that I know everything. Nobody knows everything. There's always a fresh perspective on something.
Let's dig deeper. So you've been here for a week so far. Talk to the peeps out there worldwide who are loving this, by the way, about what you've learned. One thing in particular.
Man, it's just incredible. You just gotta listen more, listen to everybody. You're never too good to learn something from whoever you're playing with or whoever you're working with. Everyone has a lesson to teach. Everyone's coming from a different place, and just open your mind. Don't be afraid to expand your own understanding, because the only thing that's ever really holding you back is yourself.
So when you talk about, like, have your ears grown in the last 5 days? I mean, talk specifically. Give me one specific instance with. There's a myriad of cats here, so I mean, can you talk about the setting where you were inspired recently on this retreat?
Sure. Man, there's so many. It's hard to actually choose one.
Just choose one. Just one.
Throw me on the spot. I'm really terrible when you put me on the spot.
It's very spontaneous. It's jazz.
Absolutely. Okay, so there was a discussion that we had a couple of days ago, where I'm trying to think. So.
It wasn't drum language. It was actual verbal discussion.
Sure, verbal discussion. Yeah, it wasn't a playing session.
Sure.
So I had a chance to talk with Billy and ask him about some of the mistakes that he made early on in his career. And working with a lot of legends like Miles Davis, and he talked about meeting Miles for the first time and getting called into the session to play for Bitches Brew, which was absolutely incredible. And just the it was very cool to hear his perspective from that, and just very specifically, actually, I believe it was when he was talking about working with Miles for the first time. We got a phone call, and Miles was just like, hey, be at the studio. Hung up, didn't tell him what studio, where he was playing. So we had to call, somebody else that he knew that was playing with him on the session to let him know. And just talking about make sure that you're prepared, and show up early, to be respectful, and I'm losing my train of thought, actually.
Why don't we go? You're in Fort Wayne right now. Do you have a lot of like stone jazz gigs, or do you play like more like funk? Like can you play a little bit, demonstrate a little bit about the Fort Wayne sound of Colin Boyd on the kit?
Oh, sure.
Your mind's
absolutely.
A little bit. Yeah. Jake Feinberg scrambled your brain a little bit here.
No problem.
Yeah, Miles Davis said, "I like that. Play that." That's what he told Billy.
I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, no, it's been a long week.
So,
but you're sounding great. So go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, Fort Wayne regional sound here.
Sure.
So, but as far as live gigs, how I think that's one of the issues with just increasing the vocabulary of music. How often, how many gigs a week do you have in Fort Wayne?
Yeah, I usually do. Lately, I'm doing about 3 a week. So.
And what kind of I mean, it's all music, but
Yeah.
what kind of is it improvisational music? Is it formulaic pop 40 stuff? What is it?
Sure, it's a wide mix. So most of what I do is improvisationally based, and so I have the opportunity to work with a lot of very talented people.
Are you developing your own 12-tone scale kind of thing? I mean, like when you say improvisational, I mean,
Sure.
Are you stretching out ears, Midwestern ears, is what I'm saying?
Sure, no, absolutely. It's more so like, I'll have some jazz gigs, but I'll have like some other sort of jam band style gigs as well as some other rock gigs, different things like that here and there. And it's very, we'll have a bit of a structure, but, we take it wherever we can go. We have a conversation, try and create a story and, talk with each other, talk with the audience, all through music.
What are the names of the clubs? My best friend, Neil Diamante from Tucson, from Fort Wayne. What clubs are going on in Fort Wayne?
Oh, absolutely. There's a number of places. So, Club Soda is a popular spot.
Club Soda.
Yep.
Club Soda. I dig.
Yeah, fits the vibe, right? There's been a number of places around town. So, there's the Phoenix for one, a really, really popular spot in Fort Wayne where a lot of people come through for all styles of music is the Brass Rail. They bring in people from everywhere. It is a very, very open-minded place, and the entertainment there is pretty top-notch all the time.
Could you talk about a time in your career when you maybe almost walked away from music?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And why?
Sure. So I was actually just leaving high school. I had been studying in school for, I grew up taking private lessons, played in bands through school and outside of school. And I was sort of reaching a point where I wasn't really sure myself the rest of my life. But I figured, I was sort of at a turning point.
Sure.
I wasn't sure whether I was going to continue to do this or just try and pursue something else. But it really hit me that I was, I had this terrible describing this sort of thing.
Was it a calling?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, because you knew that you were going to be a poor, starving genius,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's the big decision,
Well,
right?
naturally, I've always had this drive to express myself creatively in some way,
Yeah.
and it just happens to be through this medium. So.
Could you just display a little more? I love the melodic drumming playing the song. Could you do a little more mallet work?
Oh, sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Colin Boyd, Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's melody all over the kit. This is just the beginning. Colin, let me ask you before we wrap up here.
Sure.
What's the most unheralded thing that you love about Billy's playing that you don't think gets talked about enough? I mean, do you go back to the Horace Silver days? Where are you at with Billy Cobham? What is something that you want to enlighten peeps about, aside from what the pop mainstream people know about him?
He's fearless.
Give an example.
You just gotta watch him play and listen. Absolutely fearless. everything that he brings forth comes from the center of his body, and he just lays it out for you. There's no question that he doesn't mean everything that he plays.
Colin Boyd, you rock, man. Much love to you, man. And I'll see you around today.
Appreciate it.
All right, dude. Let's go, my man. All right. We're here live at the Mesa Performing Arts Center here for the Art of the Rhythm section, just joined by Colin Boyd, and we got another cat here who's ready to play. Tell the audience who you are.
My name is Malachi Samdi.
Malachi Samdi, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show, man. Where are you from, Malachi?
I'm from Orange, New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah, I traveled a long way to be here. I'm glad to be here.
You drove all the way here?
No, we flew.
You flew. So tell me a little bit about the vibe in Orange. Are there clubs that you can go to that foster improvisational music?
Actually not that many.
Do you think that's a shame for the culture of the community?
Really, no. In my town, usually I'm only 13, so I'm trying to just to be a.
You're 13 years old.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, you're just okay. So do me a favor. Why don't you show the people around the world what you got on the kit? All right.
Okay.
Can you demonstrate a little bit? on the Jake Feinberg Show. Malachi, how did you learn? It's not about facility with you. It's obvious that that's already intact, but I mean, the feel. I mean, can you talk about from the earliest times the rhythm that you grew up with in your family, how you learned to feel the music?
Okay, I guess I should start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I started drumming when I was 18 months.
18 months old.
Yeah. And my grandfather was a drummer.
He put you on the trap set at 18 months?
I wish. Actually, I started out just like tapping on things, taking pencils and drumming on my like nursery books and things like that. And I think it was great that not only was my grandfather was also a drummer, but my dad was a bass player because my grandfather taught all his children an instrument, and my dad chose bass. And when he noticed that I was drumming, he picked up his bass again because he hasn't played in a while. He picked up his bass again and he started playing with me, and that really gave me a sense of feel. And playing with my dad, it gave me a sense of security. Security. And
Did he play upright or was he playing electric?
no, he plays electric.
So was he more of like what kind of bag was he in? Was he in like an R&B groove funk bag, or is it more jazz? Or
He was, yeah, I'll give you a band. He played for Color Me Bad for a while.
right on?
Played with Paula Abdul, and I'm pretty sure I've played every type of music with him, including even country and things like that.
I want you to talk to the peeps out there. First of all, this cat Malachi we're talking to from Orange, New Jersey, 13 years old. Okay. Before we get back to the practical application of the trap set, how did you learn to use the entire trap set? How did you learn to? How did you discover the fact that there's a lot more? Some cats get locked into using just one side or one thing. How did you learn to become so fluid and elastic?
Well, I think it's sort of just I've always been like a fast learner for the drums. So whenever I'm being taught something, I'm thinking of how to use it, but use it in different ways. And I've always been able to take what I've learned and not just have it. Because like, if I learn a snare piece, I'll take the snare piece and I'll move it so that every right hand is played on this tom, every left hand is played here, every floor tom is played with a double, things like that. And it really gave me a sense of moving around the kit a little bit more.
Could you demonstrate like learning a specific thing and then how you apply it to the entire kit? Yeah. I mean, you're channeling Lenny White, who, by the way, another Jersey cat. So go ahead.
A paradiddle, like.
So explain how you stretched out to the entire kit from that paradiddle.
Well, so it's right, left. So I take my right hand in. Every first hit, I'm hitting a different way. And just moving it
Wow.
to different regions of the kit.
Do you have any? Have you just been a street scholar, or have you had any academic formal training? I mean, I maintain that it's very hard.
The drums.
Yeah. I mean, did you just learn? You and your dad were just cooking the groove down in the basement together?
For a while, that was what it is.
That's what it was.
What it was, yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
And
By the way, Malachi, what's your full name? People are asking what your full name is.
Malachi Nasir Samdi. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So for a while, it was just me and my dad in like the basement, chilling out and grooving. And when I was about 4, I think, he said, "All right, we need to get him into a school for music because that's how he's really gonna learn." So there's a music school near my house, Mark Murphy's Music. I've been there for about 12, most of my life. That's all I know.
Mark
Most of my
Murphy.
life, yeah.
Really?
And when I was 4, he brought me there, and he brought me in, and the guy came and was like, "Oh, are you here to pick up one of your other sons?" He was like, "No, I'm here to see if he wants to try out. See if one of my sons wants to try out."
Yeah.
And he said, "All right, is he waiting in the car?" Because they only accepted 12-year-olds, and I was a 4-year-old just standing there like, holding sticks. So they said, "We don't accept 4-year-olds," and sort of kicked us out. Then the next day we came, Dad brought a pad, and he told me to run it and just start playing. And I
Just to get their attention, basically. Yeah.
And I mean, I was a kid, so really all I knew was like double strokes, single strokes, paradiddles. But for a 4-year-old, doing a paradiddle is something that you wouldn't expect. And they let me in at 4 years old to a 12-year-old school. It was great.
Malachi, did you? How do you take in music? I mean, in terms of, do you listen to a lot of old records? A lot. I mean, how have you developed your own individual voice on the kit? Because in today's modern musical landscape, sometimes I have a hard time telling who's playing. And I know that everyone is searching for their own individual sound, and I just want you to take us on your trip because it's kind of just beginning, actually.
For me, recently, like what they do recently is they use a drum machine.
Yeah.
And the way that when you're listening to it, and you can sort of feel the fact that it's a drum machine because it doesn't have a heart. Like it doesn't have a heart.
You can feel that it doesn't have that it's a computer.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's certain things that an actual human being will do because they react, they feel, they put emotion into
It's a
it.
call and response. I dig.
Yeah. And I guess listening to drum machines gave me a little bit of holding down the beat. That was that. But listening to old records like Billy Joe Joe.
Philly Joe Jones.
Philly Joe Jones. Oh my God, I can't speak today.
Dude, Philly Joe is the man. Dude,
Yeah.
You know.
And
He used to try to
how
yeah.
it
I
played.
mean, can you play a little bit of just burn a little bit for the audience, dude.
How about jazz?
Blend jazz, R&B, and rock together.
Okay. I'll start with jazz.
Does this Do you feel like this is happening very fast, this retreat? Do you feel like you'll be able to comprehend it when you look back in 10 years and you've already been well into your career? How did you even find Billy originally?
Oh, okay. Well, for finding
The Art of the Rhythm, it was Billy Cobham's, his retreat. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
how did you find him?
Victor Wooten, the bass player, has a brother. His name is Roy Wooten. And I met him
Interesting.
a while ago. I think I was like 8. And we played together, and it was great. And he said, wow, you have a lot of potential. And he said, let me pass you on to some of my buddies. one of which was
It was Billy.
Yeah. And he called my dad, and he sort of just had him tell him like what I can do, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and he sort of just like disappeared for a little bit, and then called back and said, I want to have a Skype lesson. So for a long time we've had a couple Skype lessons, just him teaching me rudimental things to just help me. I've heard some people say this. For some people, the easy things are what makes the hard things sound better.
Sure.
And that's really what he's been teaching.
Can you demonstrate an easy thing that he worked on that makes the harder things? What is the hardest thing about when someone says, "Gee, you have a lot of talent"? How hard is it? What is the hardest thing about applying that talent when you know you have potential, and then actually getting on the bandstand? What's the hardest thing for you in terms of applying that?
I think it's.
I mean, how often do you get on the bandstand? How often do you get a chance to be on the bandstand now?
Well, recently I've actually just been buckling down, doing my academics so that I can.
Is that because there's just not a lot of gigs?
Not necessarily. I mean.
Are there gigs available for Malachi that you just don't take?
Some. But I've just been trying to settle down, trying to get my education to a standard where I can still do, like, grade 75 algebra, but still have my career.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what grade are you in? 8th grade?
I'm in eighth,
You're in
yeah,
8th grade. 8th grade. Fluidity, unbelievable. So many great cats in the lexicon of rhythm. Can you just talk about what rhythm means to you and how it drives your consciousness, how it expands your consciousness?
I don't think there's a single day that rhythm doesn't come into what I do. Even walking is rhythm.
Walking is rhythm. That's what the Blackbird said, man.
And there's no life without rhythm. Even a heartbeat's rhythm. Speaking is rhythm. And I don't think there would be really any color in the world if there was no rhythm.
What's the coolest thing you've learned on this trip, this retreat?
This retreat. The coolest thing I've learned is to not play the cool things, but play the things that make the cool things better. Yeah.
My friend, continued success. Catch you around, man.